You know, in every regression equation, there is a importance of data series. And in the regression equation, simple regression equation, there is dependent variable and, another is the independent variable. So, so each and every variable is a series of the data. So before going to involve yourselves in a regression analysis, you have you should have a proper understanding about the data series. So whether the data series is parametric or non-parametric, you have to check it. And quantitative and qualitative research is there or not, and whether the sample is normally distributed, and are there any outlier in the data series. The data series actually provides some information on measure of central tendency. You know what is the measure of central tendency? Mean, median, mode. And measure of dispersion, you know, the variance and the standard deviation. And measure of normality, that is kurtosis, skewness. You know, the kurtosis is nothing but the measure of degree of sharpness, and skewness measure of degree of symmetry. So there is also measure of dispersion, that is the variance and standard deviation. You know the difference between the variance and the standard deviation. How far the data is widely spread is 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 calculated or can be understood by using the variance of the data series. But by the standard deviation, you can understand how far the data series, how far the data, each and every data spread around its mean, around the mean of the sample. And now, with an example, I like to explain it. And here is an example. And you know, this is the series of Nifty, that is the stock market of India, from the NSE stock market. There is a Nifty index, and there is Sri Lanka, and I have collected data from the Colombo Stock Exchange, and there is South Korea, and there is a stock market, that is the KOSPI. So there are three indexes. There are three series, and by using the eViews software, I have found this information that you can see here. In the first column, there is a mean, median, maximum, minimum, standard deviation, skewness, kurtosis, and Jark-Bera and its probability. If you consider Nifty, then you can find that there is a mean, that is 8586.130, and median is 8619.975, and maximum value is 8956.400, and minimum value is 8196.050, and the standard deviation of Nifty is 248, and skewness is minus 0.114. And you know the skewness actually measures the, as I have mentioned, that skewness measures the degree of symmetry. So it is very low value, and though it is negative, but near about approximately that series is symmetric. The series is symmetric, okay? Because in case of for example 2.568 is be the skewness, then it will be the positively skewed and highly positively skewed. And if the series will be the minus 3.528, then it will negatively skewed. But you can hear, you can you can say that this is a positively this is symmetric. And if you see the kurtosis, then you can find then it is less than 3. It is less than 3. So as it is less than 3, so it is a platykurtic. Negative kurtosis, negative kurtosis flatted curve. More normal values, lower values are there. More lower values are there. If you consider this, if you consider the mean of the series, the most of the values are less than are lower in compared to the mean value of the series. This is the importance of the platykurtic. Now, if you consider the series of Sri Lankan stock market, that is Colombo stock market, then you have the mean, median. Mean means the average of the series, and median, maximum value, and minimum value. And standard deviation is 34.51. So how far the data actually how far the data is spreaded around the sample mean is determined by the standard deviation. And you can see here that the standard deviation is 3.4 in case of Colombo stock market, that is the that is in the Sri Lanka, and Nifty is 248. So standard deviation is very high in case of Nifty in compare with the Sri Lanka. Now the skewness is 0.22. Now the skewness is 0.22, and it is also approximately symmetric, and 2.520 is the kurtosis, that is it is near about 3. So approximately it is there is no sharpness, it is nearly normally distributed. And in case of South Korea, we have also the standard deviation is 16.20, which is very low in compared to the Nifty, and the skewness is minus 0.14. It is also close to 0. So it is approximately normally distributed. There is no, actually the data is symmetric, the series is symmetric. And if you see the kurtosis, then the value for South Korea is 2.987, that is approximately 3. So if the series is mesokurtic, then the kurtosis will be 3. Mesokurtic means normally distributed. Normally distributed means here, in case of kurtosis, actually measures the degree of sharpness, there is no sharpness. Okay. Now you see the Jarkbera for the Nifty in case of India, and Colombo stock market in Sri Lanka, and and you can have the KOSPI in South Korea. So Jarkvera, from the Jarkvera, if the probability is very low, that is approximately zero, then we reject the null hypothesis. We reject the null hypothesis. Actually, the Jarkvera, here the whether the skewness and the kurtosis, is there any difference between the skewness and kurtosis with the normally distributed series skewness and kurtosis? So this here the null hypothesis is that series is normally distributed. There is no difference between the normally distributed series skewness and kurtosis with the series that we are actually taken, and that series skewness and kurtosis, there is no difference, that the series is normally distributed. And the alternative hypothesis, it is not normally distributed. So a small probability value leads to the rejection of the null hypothesis of a normal distribution. So the probability for Nifty in case of India, we cannot reject the null hypothesis, that is, the series is normally distributed. The same result you can have for Sri Lanka and South Korea. The series are normally distributed. So by analyzing the data series, we can feel the data. We can feel the data for finding out the way, by finding out the way, that is, whether we use the parametric test or non-parametric test. That is you can say whether Kruskal-Wallis test we have to use or not, or one-way ANOVA test. So in which way our research will move, that can be actually be very clear if we properly understand the series. So the understanding and feeling of series is very important. So I hope you have a little more understanding about the data series, and it will be very helpful for your regression analysis. Thank you very much for enjoying this lecture.